Good afternoon to everybody. The graduation of the college has been called to distribute the degrees in various subjects of the college upon the candidates who, in the examination recently held for the purpose, have been certified to be worthy of the same.
I also offer my salutation to Srimad Swami Sugadevananda Maharaj, Secretary, Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda College, Autonomous, Chennai. I am beholden to Secretary Maharaj for his direction and guidance. I request him to accept my respectful welcome. I extend a very warm welcome to Dr. Bhaskar Ramamurthy, Director IIT Madras. On behalf of the management and staff, I place on record my gratitude for his ready acceptance to be the chief guest among his very busy schedule and deliver the graduation day address. Now it is my pleasant duty to welcome the monks of the Ramakrishna Order and also the members of the management committee. I am glad to welcome our Controller of Examinations, Dr. R. Ramachandran, whose contribution is vital in conducting the examinations. I am indeed happy and proud in welcoming the heads of various departments, all the teaching staff and the parents who served and paved the way for the success of these graduates. It is also my duty to welcome all the non-teaching staff of the college and maintenance department. I also welcome the correspondents of the print and electronic media who share the time with us now for a good cause. Above all, I extend my hearty welcome to all my dear graduates who have been yearning for a long time to receive their degree certificates. It is a great pleasure for me as the principal of this college to present the graduation report to this august audience. We have assembled here to witness the conferring of the degrees to the 2012-15 undergraduate and 2013-15 postgraduate batches of graduates. A total of 712 undergraduate students and 8 postgraduate students appeared for the final examinations held in April 2015. I am indeed glad to announce that the overall pass percentage is 95 in undergraduation and a percentage of 88 in post-graduation. I am also proud to declare that 77 students were placed in the first class with the distinction and 417 students were placed in the first class. I would like to place on record proudly that several of our graduates from various departments have obtained placements through the College Guidance Bureau and the Placement Cell. Around 17 companies, including multinationals, conducted in and off campus interviews in which 291 students got placements. The companies include Deloitte, KPMG, TCS, E&Y Chennai, E&Y Bangalore, Sutherland, and so on. I thank the Almighty and the Holy Trinity for giving me an opportunity once again to welcome you all in this particular occasion. I am indeed very proud and happy to introduce the chief guest of this graduation day, Dr. Bhaskar Ramamurthy. Professor Bhaskar Ramamurthy got his B.Tech in electronics from IIT Madras in 1980 and his MS and PhD in electrical engineering from the University of California and Santa Barbara in 1982 and 1985 respectively. After working at AT&T Bell Laboratories for a couple of years, he joined the faculty of IIT Madras, his alma mater, in 1986. He took over as Director IIT Madras in September 2011. His areas of specialization are communications and signal processing. His research work is in wireless networks, modulation, wireless data, and audio and video compression. He is a founding member of TNET group of IIT Madras, active in developing telecom and networking technologies and incubating companies to develop and market products based on these. He is currently also Honorary Director of the Center of Excellence in Wireless Technology, a public-private initiative at the IITM Research Park to make India a wireless leader. He is on the board of Bharat Electronics Limited. He is a fellow of Indian National Academy of Engineering and of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. He is also an honorary fellow of the International Medical Sciences Academy. He was awarded the Boswick Award for Electronic Sciences and Technology for the year 2000, the Tamil Nadu Scientist Award for the Engineering and Technology for the year 2003, India Semiconductor Association Techno Visionary Award for the year 2011, Lions of Madras Award for the year 2014, and the ACCS CDAC Foundation Award for the year 2015. I am really very happy to invite Dr. Bhaskar Ramamurthy, Director, Indian Institute of Technology, to deliver the graduation day address.
Respected Swami Shukadevananda Ji Maharaj, Secretary, Dr. Tirunavakar, Principal, Dr. Ramachandran, Controller of Examinations, other respected Swamijis of the Ramakrishna Mission Math who are here today, distinguished members of the faculty and staff, proud parents, and dear graduating students. My greetings to all of you. I consider myself highly privileged to have been invited to be the chief guest today for your graduation day function. My tenuous connection to the Ramakrishna Math is that my maternal great-grandfather, Justice P.R. Sundara Iyer, was a member of the reception committee at Madras that received Swami Vivekananda Ji after his triumphal return to the USA. He was also the person who, in the meeting held at Madras to condole the passing away of Swamiji in 1902, moved the resolution to set up a branch of Sri Ramakrishna Math at Madras. That is really the only connection I have. I feel that the best I can do today is to reflect on what message Swami Vivekananda's life might have for the youth of India in the new millennium. Every moment of his short life and every word that he uttered was definitive. My reflections, I must hasten to add, are circumscribed by my very limited knowledge of his life and work. We must remember that nothing in Swami Vivekananda's short but meteoric life was happenstance. Every event was presaged by his Guru, Sri Ramakrishna. Every word he uttered and every action he undertook was intended for a specific end result. In his speeches in Chennai, he exhorted young men and women to be strong and fearless. He cautioned us against attempts to throw off religion. He averred that we must make all and everything work through that vitality of our religion. On the fourth day of his stay, he specifically charged the young men to conquer the world through our spirituality and philosophy. He told a disbelieving audience that all power is within you. You can do anything and everything. In his lecture on the last day in Chennai again, Swamiji spoke about the future of India and stressed for the umpteenth time that education was the key. Education is not the amount of information that is put into your brain and runs right there, undigested all your life. He said, you must have life-building, man-making, character-making assimilation of ideas. If you have assimilated 5 ideas and made them your life and character, you have more education than any man who has got by heart the whole library. We need look no further than those whose speeches to give direction to our lives. His words are as relevant and topical as they would be if spoken yesterday. I ask you to reflect on this. Were the 5 ideas he asks us to assimilate contained in the 5 major talks he gave during those 9 days? Today's youth in India are special because you are born in an era when India is reawakening. In fact, you are part of the 50% of Indians who are 25 years or younger. Much of what India becomes in the next 30 years depends on what each of you will do and be. We have to transition from a nation with lots of poor people to one where everyone is contented and leads a sustainable, healthy life. Please note that I did not say that we should transition to a nation of wealthy citizens like some of the advanced economies of today. For that would be unsustainable for such a large population as ours. And our mother, Bhudevi, cannot bear the burden. We will also become very unhealthy, and the travails of healthcare in the advanced nations will visit us 100-fold. So each of you has to be quite smart and wise in ensuring that we do not go from one form of misery created by poverty to another, and this is a paraphrase of what a wisecrack said, to the opposite kind of misery. You don't go from misery to happiness, but you go from one form of misery to the opposite form of misery. From where are we to acquire such wisdom to ensure that we don't do that? It is to Swamiji to whom we can turn for the wisdom on making the smart transition that I alluded to just now. You can also take heart that there is no doubt that India will reinvent itself. We need not have any doubts that this may not happen, or there are some people who say that it's very critical, that we'll miss the bus and so on. It will definitely happen, and that's because Swamiji himself is aware that India would once again become a great nation. And he never said anything lightly, so you can be, no matter, whenever you have any grave doubt, you can take confidence from what he has said. However, a strong and resurgent India is not going to be handed to us on a platter. We can't just sit back and say, okay, it's going to happen, he has said so. We, or more correctly, you, because many of us are now getting into the last part of our active careers, you are going to have to make it a reality. And for this, we have to make a few course corrections. Swamiji hammered away at our failings and exhorted us to set things right. It is worth recalling today some of his important teachings. He described India's national ideals as renunciation and service. He said that if we do not follow a path that is uniquely suited to us in India, we are bound to fail. In other words, we can't just copy what's happened elsewhere in the US or in China. He asked us to have faith in ourselves, what he calls Shraddha. He wanted us to have that energy, that love of independence, that spirit of self-reliance, and that immovable fortitude, that dexterity in action, and that bond of unity of purpose, that thirst for improvement, and that intense spirit of activity. I'm happy to say that the current young generation in India, more than ever, more than, for example, in my time, believes in itself. It's palpable when you meet today's youngsters. Swamiji also pointed out the need for economic growth. Material civilization, he said, nay, even luxury, is necessary to create work for everyone. Contrary to what a superficial reading might convey, this does not contradict his exhortation to us to renounce and serve. Food and basic needs have to be provided before education, and for this, material wealth is required. You can't educate a hungry person. However, once we have enough to live decently and get educated, Swamiji wanted us to put the nation and others before ourselves. The path of renunciation and service is essentially a spiritual path, and the spiritual path is intimately tied to religion. In religion lies the vitality of India, said Swamiji, and as long as we do not forget this, we will succeed in our mission. Finally, most of us need very simple rules, a few simple rules to live by, which can assure us that we are contributing to the national good. Here again, Swamiji has provided a personal manifesto for each of us. He identified 3 necessary traits for a man or a woman, indeed for a nation to be great. 1, conviction of the power of goodness. We must be convinced that it's inherently very powerful to be good. Absence of jealousy and suspicion. These are 2 traits that will completely bring all of us down. and helping all who try to be and do good. Satsanga. Anybody who is trying to be good, trying to do good, you have to help them. And you have to take help if you are in a similar pursuit. He gave a clarion call for young Indians to transform themselves into a band of fiery patriots. I urge you, he said, to arise and awake, you all know that. And even as you go about building your own lives and setting up your own families, follow the teachings of Swami Vivekananda and build a strong India, a compassionate India, a sustainable India, an India that is a beacon to the world, an India that leads by example. I thank you for your patience. The Swamijis here at the college and at the Mutt can, I'm certain, convey what I have attempted to do with vastly superior clarity. If I have uttered anything that is incorrect or wrong, I urge you to ignore it. May Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Swami Vivekananda and all our gurus bless us all. Jai Hind.